Here's Brody Brazil.
Here on opening day 2025, we have the commissioner of baseball finally talking a little bit about the Rays situation. I say situation, but it's more plural, like situations. There's Tropicana Field. It sits still damaged from Hurricane Milton back in October. That repair is not approved, and it may not even be approved until next week. They'll have that vote on April 3rd. So that's kind of up in the air. Obviously, the regular season is getting underway in Tampa at the Yankees spring training complex and minor league facility. That's where the Rays are going to play this major league season outdoors for the very first time. And then there's the whole new stadium project and plan and proposal, which the Rays and the city and the county, they spent years on. It was approved by St. Pete as a city and Pinellas, the county. And then the Rays backed out of their own deal. You know, the one that they pitched and put together, the whole here to stay plan. They backed out of that in the end after it was all approved. So Manfred is here commenting. By the way, it's on Mad Dog Radio with host Chris Russo. Manfred and Russo have a long history. They go back a ways, but this is on SiriusXM. It's a very controlled environment. It's kind of a regular guest spot for Manfred. So he's kind of obligated to do this, but Russo's also kind of in the mix being a baseball employee. So understand that as the context. But here's what Manfred said. It kind of does back up the fact that baseball and its owners might really start pressuring Stuart Sternberg, owner of the Rays, to sell his baseball team if he can't get something going in Tampa or St. Pete. I'll read these quotes. I'll read you what Manfred had to say, and then I'll offer some thought and analysis after each section. Beginning with this, quote, "I think the most important point now is that the Rays and Mr. Sternberg have to come up with a go-forward plan, what it is they intend to do," end quote. Now, I'll just take away that they've already had a plan. In fact, they've had multiple plans. Stuart Sternberg has owned this team for like 20 years, and there have been multiple iterations of locations and renderings, and they've never gotten that done. And in fact, they just had a go-forward plan. And it went forward. It went all the way forward to the point that they were the ones that terminated it. So in my opinion, I understand this is what the commissioner wants and needs to see like next in the process and next for a project. But it's no longer about having a go-forward plan. It's more like you need to have a do something for real. There need to be shovels in the ground. There needs to be a location that's secured and purchased and money starting to move in the direction of the project for land and for construction and all of that stuff. And where's this stadium going to be? But in my opinion, I get it. Manfred needs to say this, that we want to hear a plan from you, the Rays, to figure out where you stand. But you need far more than that at this point. Your plans kind of don't carry the weight as they used to because this is version like 5 or 6. It's no longer about plans. It's more about action. Manfred went on to say, quote, "I don't think it's realistic to play indefinitely in a repaired Tropicana Field, but they've got to tell the other clubs, and I think they've got to tell their fan base that they have a plan for making it work in Tampa Bay," end quote. Now, this is almost in direct response from what the Rays put out there several weeks ago that optimally for them, they'd want to move back into Tropicana Field starting in 2026, have all the repairs done. They'd also like a total of $600 million chipped in to improve Tropicana Field so that they would want to sign another 10 to 15-year lease extension. It would go $200 from the team, $200 from Pinellas County, and $200 from the city of St. Petersburg. The city and county have already said, wait a second, we already gave you $600 million for like 30 years, and now you want us to give you $400 million for 10 years? That's not a good deal. They weren't sure about the first deal. They're pretty sure about this new one, that they don't want to be in on this. Do the Rays really want to be at Tropicana Field another 10 plus 3, 13, 15, 18, 20 years, even with improvements? I don't think anybody wants that. Only the Rays want that because it's the easiest way out. You don't have to spend as much. You get to move on. You get to increase your team's value, make some money along the way. It just doesn't make sense for pretty much anybody outside of the Tampa Bay Rays as a business and as a team. But I also think that as you look at this, it's what the Rays want to do, and now the commissioner's going against the Rays' plan, their number one thing to move back into Tropicana Field, the only thing they've suggested so far. And now you've got the commissioner saying, well, I don't think it's realistic to play indefinitely there. He's directly countering what the team recently said felt like their number one option. So again, putting the pressure on the team to tell the other clubs and to tell their fan base what exactly they intend to do next. In terms of the Tampa-St. Pete region, the Tampa Bay region, Manfred said, quote, "I see the Tampa Bay region, Tampa-St. Pete, as a major league market, and we're going to figure out a way to make it work in that market." My takeaways will come later in this video, but didn't he say something similar about Oakland, California in 2016? Oh yeah, no, he absolutely did. And what about Orlando? If Tampa-St. Pete is keeping their team, if there's no way on earth that the Rays move out of Tampa-St. Pete, how would you ever put a major league team, another one, 90 miles up the road in Orlando? The dreamers might be waking up on that one. More on that, though, in just a second. The question was asked by Russo about the St. Pete Stadium deal. Is that now off the board for good? Remember, the Rays backed out of this. Technically, they still have a few more days until March 31st before it's officially and contractually dead. Apparently, the Rays never sent a letter of officially backing out, so they're just waiting on it to time out. When it does, it's dead. But that was the question. Here was the answer from Manfred. Quote, "Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. And particularly any sentence that ends with for good is hard to say yes to. The fact of the matter is we believe in the market, and it's up to the Rays to identify a way to get a stadium in the market." I mean, the pressure is on right then and right there. This is what you have to do. I will say this. The Rays aren't clear in their plans or what they're going to do next, but baseball does seem pretty clear here. It's all about one thing: securing a stadium in this market, and that's what they're asking for. If you look at these quotes again and again, it becomes more clear. Baseball is being very direct. Identify a way to get a stadium in the market, and the pressure is all on the Rays. Now, if you're a city council member or a county administrator, I mean, you've got to be looking at this saying, he just gave us, the city and the county, all the leverage here. This is the commissioner of baseball putting the pressure on one of his teams, not the city or the county, like he normally does to get a deal done. He's saying it's on you, the baseball team. In terms of Tropicana Field and those repairs and that vote for next Thursday, April 3rd, this is what Manfred said, quote, "We're monitoring the repair issue closely. We have our own engineers down there. We're hopeful that the Trop will be ready for 2026. I think that's really important." But when they went into more detail about repairs and the timeline, obviously the vote has to happen, yes, for the $56 million or so. Apparently the city of St. Pete thinks they're on the hook for about $25 million in this repair. Manfred said, just in terms of the timing, not the vote, but in terms of the timing of getting this done, even if it starts now, it's, quote, "not a certainty," but later on he said, quote, "but it's doable." So even that doesn't necessarily look clear-cut, easy to understand, like a slam dunk guarantee. Let me quickly get to my takeaways of this entire situation. Yes, Rob Manfred can say what he wants about Tampa, St. Pete, and the Tampa Bay area being a major league market. But yes, he did once say that about Oakland, to the extent that if baseball were to ever move away from Oakland in 10 years, we would likely regret it. Well, here we are 9 years away, and they've done it. And to some degree, they might regret it. But in other ways, maybe they don't care. Maybe he just said that in the past as a way to put some pressure on whoever he wanted to. He didn't really mean it. And now he'll just move on from it and never kind of go back to that. So my point is, take it with a grain of salt when Manfred doubles down on the market. What if Orlando becomes a really sweet option? What if Orlando comes with all the bells and whistles, a new stadium, a new owner, all the money in the world to get this done? I mean, if baseball really is committing to Tampa and St. Pete and or both, whatever, are the Orlando chances done? I don't see a way that the Rays could exist in Tampa Bay and Orlando could have its own team in that close proximity. I just don't see expansion ever happening. It feels like the only way Orlando would ever get a team is if the Rays moved, either to Orlando or somewhere else that vacated the Tampa Bay region. So that's my question of all this. If baseball really is putting the pressure on the Rays to somehow stay in Tampa with Sternberg or a different owner, does that mean Orlando is off the map? Well, not literally, but figuratively. It also, as I mentioned before, took a lot of leverage away from the team in this entire scenario? Like, what are they going to do? Go back to the city of St. Pete? The city of St. Pete has basically said, we won't work with this ownership group anymore. They cost us money. In fact, I've got another video coming out about how Pinellas County wants to charge the Rays. They want to bill the Rays for more than $2 million for putting them through the process the last couple of years and ultimately backing out of it. And so it feels like baseball just gave all the leverage away to the city and county. And the city and county, at least in the St. Pete and Pinellas side, they're not eager to start working again. So where does this even work? And I will say, last but not least, Manfred can sit here on a perch and look down at Stuart Sternberg and the Rays and say, you need to figure this out, right? It's on you. The responsibility's on you to tell us what you're going to do next, when you're going to do it. And I agree. But baseball has some responsibility in this too. This is kind of like a company and franchise situation. If you're a fast food chain, if you're McDonald's and you're big McDonald's, the company, but one of your locations, whether you own it or not, is having issues, it still represents your brand. And you still have some control and say over how that franchise operates, so it represents you in the best case. And none of this is making baseball look good. A major league team and a minor league stadium, there's now 2 of them this year. Ownership groups that fans are urging to have the team sold. You shouldn't have multiple teams in baseball where their fan base and their number one aiming point, the thing that they want most, is to have the team be sold. There's multiple teams in baseball that have that as a rally cry of their fan base. That's not a good situation. Baseball has to clean this up, right? You can't let it persist. You can't let this go on. You can't jump in with a quote like this once in a while and think it's just going to go away on its own. Yeah, owners are owners. They should be autonomous. You shouldn't need to babysit them. But ultimately, this falls on the baseball brand, and this is a baseball situation. And so quick quotes from Manfred. I don't know that we got a lot out of him other than the pressure is definitely on the Rays to do something here, to do it quick, and then to actually act on it and not just talk about it. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Also, thumbs up while you're down there. That helps me, this video, and this channel. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button so I can definitely see you back here next time.